now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal, the full story. Real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
All I'm going to say is we're here. Welcome to Financial Fitness Friday. King cakes are just cinnamon rolls in drag. I've got some advice for most of you, especially on the YouTube channel. The baby is not edible. Don't swallow the baby. Don't chew the baby. Don't eat the baby. Extract the baby. How come they don't make the baby out of like marshmallow? That would make things... Wouldn't that be better? I'm all full of ideas today. This is also Ground Hog Day. And I do remember when Mr. de Blasio over in New York City killed Staten Island Chuck. He picked up the groundhog and dropped him and killed him on the spot. Much like what he did to the city. But we're so glad you're here. My goodness, Danny. My goodness. That's all I'm going to say about Meta and Amazon overnight. I mean, the after hours on these things, I think Meta's up 16%. Amazon's up close to 7%.
Yep.
Exxon did really well, up a couple of percent in the pre-market. So it looks like a NASDAQ day for show. Nothing from Danny on that. You know what?
Nothing.
Darn you.
You said it all.
It's just...
So Groundhog Day, as a reformed New Yorker,
yeah.
What are your expectations here?
Not for the groundhog not to die. I really
not
like
to
groundhog
die. That's all we're going for.
I really would like for Mayor Adams not to drop the groundhog. That would be... I'm always hoping for more winter, unlike Brent Clanton. So that's just the way it goes. But Meta had this revenue jump, 25% in the quarter. I thought that number was really strong. I didn't expect that. Online ad market continues to rebound quite nicely. Net income triples. And guess what? They're growing up. The little baby's growing up. They're going to pay a dividend.
Oh, man.
How do you like that? A dividend of 50 cents a share on March 26th. Of course, cash equivalents came out to $65.4 billion at the end of 2023, up from close to $41 billion. So you're going to get a dividend.
That's nice, paying the shareholders.
Well, I think these tech companies are now starting to play responsibly, like the market loves when they let thousands of workers go, restructure. They're hearing all the words that they used to hear from other companies. So as these companies mature and they're getting in loads of cash, I think from Meta's perspective, that it's a really good idea for them to pay the dividend. So these shares are up 17% in pre-market trade right now. And I think the Fed handled everything right, because if you think that the Fed should lower rates, in Brooklyn, we would call you a chooch. That means you're as smart as a banana, because there's no reason to lower rates except if you're just addicted to rate cuts. Now, labor market's cracking a little bit, so maybe by the summer, maybe by the fall. But I think the Fed handled it. And we had that routing, Danny, that one day. Everybody took the punch, went down, and then came right back up. So,
well, it's dropped again. I mean, we saw even after this, we've seen yields drop considerably.
Well, yields, I'm talking about the market itself. But but talk about yields a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the 10-year back at about 4.88. A little bit lower yesterday. And, we suspect this will bounce around, especially if we begin to see more auctions coming out here in the following weeks.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't make a ton of sense. And, CME Fed Watch just this week went from 48% rate hike to 39%, or not rate hike, rate cuts in March. So, this is all over the place. And I think that, a lot of people are saying, you can't take what they're saying verbatim.
No.
And you can't. I mean, this is the same guy who was not going to hike interest rates. Inflation's transitory, and things could change quickly.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing we do have to be mindful of, is that this can change. We have a long time, 6 weeks before our next Fed meeting. And a lot of data is going to come out in between here.
Absolutely. I mean, we got data this morning. We got non-farm payrolls. We got average hourly earnings. I think UPS, with their numbers, revenue numbers, might have opened eyes a little bit on the labor market. But I also will say it's probably a UPS issue. But I think you have to take that and carry it forward and say to yourself that I think once the labor market cracks and companies start to see it's okay to let people go, then you see some of this labor hoarding become like Elsa. Let it go, let it go. They just let them go. I think you're going to start to see people do that. And then I think once that happens, you get households finally waking up to the fact that maybe my job isn't as secure as I thought it was, and spending pulls back. And Mike said this best. It's all about labor, Mike Leibowitz. And I absolutely agree that this spending, there's a lot of cash in the COVID commercials I see on TV. Even though every time I pay taxes, I feel like I want to vomit. But I still think that it's labor. And I think the Fed's going to watch labor, right? So we're seeing claims start to pick up. I think if the Fed moves, it's because they're seeing something in labor that they don't like. So...
Well, but they're going to continue to move the goalpost. I mean, we saw just in December, the verbiage was different. The rhetoric was different than what it even was this week.
Yeah.
So, that's the difficult part about the expectations from the Fed, is that they may tell you one thing today, and in 6 weeks, that may not matter.
Right.
We were just trying to get inflation lower. We were on the right track. We don't envision any more rate hikes. And, we envision 3 to 4 rate cuts in 2024. And that changed a tad bit. Not a ton, but it did change enough.
It did.
Because now they're back on that 2% inflation. And I do understand. I don't think he wants to become Alan Greenspan.
Listen, if he navigates this soft landing, they might put a statue up for him.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually somebody will take it down because they're offended. But someone will put up a statue of Powell, because we haven't really seen one of those in a very long time, and they are very scarce, like the dodo. So if he manages to do whatever that heck a soft landing is, then I do think that he might be replacing, some of the more stoic,
Prominent.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, see what Powell did? He would come out of that transitory thing smelling like roses. That's what I smell like all the time.
Well, they'll forget about what he did previously. That's the kicker.
Well, yes, absolutely. Markets actually everybody seems to have a very short memory. So it's still about the Magnificent Seven or the Sexy Six, because Tesla's down about 25% this year. So you never put baby in the corner, but we have put Elon Musk in the corner. So listen, we're going to talk about a lot of things, but many retirees are considering returning to work. I wrote a piece about this 3 years ago calling it the Great Unretirement. What will be your second act? Or for some people, third, fourth, fifth. Brent, 12th, 15th? We've lost count. It's radio, people. It's radio. That's all I have to say. We'll be right back.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Nothing sinks a marriage quicker than money issues. This Valentine's Day, promise you'll respect your lover's credit. Communicate about your money. and share together our first Candid Coffee for 2024. 5 Money Habits of Unhappy Couples. Saturday, February 24th. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratcliffe will have money tips to help revive your financial harmony. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. 5 Money Habits of Unhappy Couples. Candid Coffee with Ratcliffe and Rosso. realinvestmentadvice.com.
When it comes to wealth management, most people think of stocks and bonds, but it's like enjoying one layer in a 7-layer cake. At RIA Advisors, we want to make sure you get your cake and eat it too. Social Security, Medicare, creating a tax-friendly retirement paycheck. Perhaps you're saving for college. How about life insurance, guaranteed income solutions, all along with comprehensive planning? At RIA, a holistic approach to your money is our priority. Call us today, 855-RIA-PLAN, or find us online at realinvestmentadvice.com. realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
Small businesses are discovering that attracting and retaining top talent come down to more than just salary. In today's highly competitive job market, compensation is more than just wages. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Healthcare and retirement plans can make the difference in hiring and retaining the best employees. We can show you how to build an affordable, effective employment package that delivers true value for your workers and your business. Call me toll-free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Bulls win in bull markets. Bears win in bear markets. Eagles soar above and take advantage of opportunity. Let us help you soar as you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
Brent puts that thing up there, and now I want cinnamon rolls. Who doesn't want a cinnamon roll right now? So,
And that's strictly against your diet.
it is, but man.
It's Friday. Live a little.
Yeah. So we're going to do this great Candid Coffee because we have communications. Danny and I deal with a lot of married couples. Actually, there's a new study out as the CFP board takes the hint from RIA Advisors as we've been talking about health and wealth, the connect, financial wellness. I wrote a piece about this 5 years ago, how important it is and how we all need to step up as advisors. It's going to become, Danny, for the Certified Financial Planning Board, a big initiative. And it talks about how CFP's advice can improve a marriage, ironically. And that is based on, I think, what a good advisor does is help couples talk to each other. We're not marriage counselors, but we are financial marriage counselors in a way. And I am proud to say I have broken up more relationships than I have yet to take credit for.
Well, this is
Like
pre-marriage.
Pre-marriage.
Yeah.
Like, that guy's not for you. Look at that credit score. No. Look at the daddies. No. So we're going to talk about 5 money habits of unhappy couples and also give tips for what happy couples do. Saturday, February 24th, 8 a.m., Candid Coffee. Danny will be dressed as Cupid. You'll have his
Will I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. He really would like to sling an arrow at me right now. It has nothing to do with love. But we'll have a couple of, maybe some more other guys on. May have Jonathan McCarty. Jonathan is a young man genius. CFA, CFP, ICUP. I mean, he's got everything. So he's going to be on this. He just got newly married. So let's see how he's handling things. I don't want to break up his marriage, but if I have to, we'll do it. Sorry, Jonathan. So we're going to talk about that because I think it's important. When we had our summit, Danny, had an interesting conversation with a woman who is having an issue with, in some ways, love, but communication about trustees. Mm-hmm. Son and a daughter. Young attorney, young accountants, but that one was just not as good with money. And she didn't want a corporate trustee. And I said, well, and she goes, well, her daughter just is going to have a job in accounting and she's got a great degree. And I'm like, I don't understand why you think your daughter can't handle it. But all these reservations she has She wants to put them all in the estate documents and not communicate to the children. In other words, I don't think she wants to do that. I think that she was headed that way because it's highly uncomfortable to have conversations with people you love about certain things. And I said, you know what? You have children who are trustees in training.
That's right.
Watch what they do. I think you might set the bar a little bit too high because what you're telling me, your kids seem great. But I said, if you don't all talk about it, aside the estate planning documents, it's the same thing for relationships. How many times have we seen families that talk openly to their children about money and the spouses are very communicative. I just did a Biden. Between the children and the parents. Like, in other words, that open communication circle, how important is it?
Oh, it's extremely important. I mean, I can't explain the importance of it. It's because it's tough to put a value on it. And I think that it's so often overlooked because we're all busy. Things that, it's tough enough to sit down with your significant other.
Not to interrupt you,
spouse.
Danny, but you're just bringing up something so important. You can't put a value on it because when you're talking about money, you always put values on things. Mm-hmm. You put dollars that connect. But this is like, you can't wrap your arms around how important this is within the money communication. But go ahead.
Well, but I think kids need a mentor. They need somebody that they can look up to, and they need to have the understandings of, what have been your pitfalls personally? What have you gone through that, you would want your children to know? And it may be embarrassing. You may have made a bad investment. You may have spent money frivolously. You may have done things and put money on credit cards. But they need to understand, hey, look, I've been here. I've done this. Here's what I would do differently. Here's what I would pray and hope that you don't ever have to go through. I made a big mistake. But also share the successes. And I think that so often we're hesitant to share these with kids. And, number one, I think you have to show some vulnerability financially. Especially when you're talking about the things that didn't go right. But everybody has something you can look back at and think, oh, man, I wish I'd have done this differently. And so I think that that's so important to communicate. And I've always said this, that the most successful families, and we're talking, monetarily, but also from a, the health is wealth aspect, Rich, but it's also the healthy relationships too.
Yes.
It is so much better when there's better communication. Now, I have heard, and I know I've had people who've listened to our estate planning webinar, and I've gotten emails and they're like, man, I went and talked to my parents about this. It went terrible.
Yeah.
And listen, it's not easy. And that's the reason why you had this conversation the other day, because it's not. And so often we may get poor advice, and everybody's going to be a little bit different as far as how you need to handle this with family. But the communication aspect has to start somewhere.
It does.
And if you're putting this in documents and you pass and the kids are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, my mother didn't trust me, or there's going to be some type of resentment.
Just because I used the word chooch, my parents gave the trustee to Danny responsibility. Danny, you know what? Why are you so much better than me? In other words, it has nothing to do with that. And if the parents don't communicate it or share, sometimes you got to be honest with your kids. I mean, I hate to say it, but, we coddle them. And sometimes, you know what? You're just not as good with money. I'm sorry. This is not your brother's decision. This is my decision. Don't take it out on him. Let's talk about it. Can you be this, so again, I understand it's so uncomfortable to do these things, but you might be ruining relationships way far beyond the grave.
Well, and think of this,
your legacy.
This may upset a child.
Yes.
If you have that conversation with them right now.
I see it. How many times have you seen it already?
Oh, now? Often. But it could be a big wake-up call too.
Yeah.
And it may be one of the things that kind of like, whoa, wait, you think I don't do this?
Let me tell you. Right. That might turn out to be, wait a minute, you're misunderstanding some things.
Or
it may increase. It might help. Right.
It may help, and they say, okay, you know what? You're right. I do need to get a better handle on this. And I like the aspect of getting them on as co-trustees as they're getting older and they're maturing, and having them go through the process with the trustee. And at some point, being old enough, mature enough to take that over. But, it's not right for everybody. Everybody has situations, and, we all have somebody in the family who we know that regardless of the situation, they're probably not going to be able to handle money. And a trust can be an excellent tool to protect assets in that and protect the child from themselves.
A few months ago, I had this conversation, and the parent had the conversation with a son who would not be good doing this and was going to be their daughter. The son was grateful and relieved. He says, "You're
Really?
right. You're right, Mom. Dad, I'm not really. I would not handle this well. I think it's great that
He may actually be mature beyond his years, just in
he's like
recognizing that
she deserves, and so I know she'll do the right thing for me. So she goes, I didn't expect that. I said, see, you were delightfully surprised.
But you can also be delightfully surprised the opposite way too. So just be aware. I mean, we're telling you guys all this stuff because we've seen it, we've lived it, we have either done it ourselves or have a lot of experience with people who have, and it is not always roses.
No. And speaking of roses, though, Punxsutawney Phil says early spring. Boy, they had at Gobbler's Knob, they were trying to pull him out of that hole. It was like pulling me out of the house to go see the Barbie movie. I mean, he did not want to come out.
But he did it. So you're saying you saw the Barbie movie?
No. Rosso 1, Mr. Phil 0, because they pulled him out of his hole. But he says early spring, and I'm glad he wasn't dropped, unlike de Blasio.
Well, he's in Pennsylvania, not New York.
Well, he still could be dropped.
If Rosso had seen the Barbie movie, we'd have 6 more weeks of Pink.
Yeah, I don't know. Torn about that Barbie movie because I do like Margot Robbie, but I don't know. It's tough. It's tough.
6 more weeks of Margot.
Now he's going to go watch it. You see what you've just done?
No, I'm not. Unless there's a zombie in it that takes a bite out of her shoulder.
He's going to come in next week. His hair is going to be blonde.
We have a pink streak right down the front
in my
there.
hair. Yeah. Gosh. So we around the time of the pandemic, a little bit after, we talked about do people go back to work? First of all, if you're 60 to 65, which is based on this survey from Nationwide, you're still working. Forget about the 1/3 of retirees between 60 and 65 who are thinking returning to work. Growth in the cohort of ages 75 and up, that is skyrocketing. So this is a survey they did in January. Survey found half of those individuals they surveyed are motivated to go back to work because they are afraid of what? Running out of money, right? Their biggest threat to retirement, one is inflation. That was 90%. We're not talking about the rate of change of inflation. We're talking about the bucket full of inflation you're already drowning in. Social Security cuts 84%. Medicare benefit cuts 83%. Very valid concerns. And we're going to talk about many retirees considering returning to work. What's the second act? And does it always have to be about money? Can it be something more? Could be. When we get back. Thank you, Punxsutawney Phil, for not being dropped.
The Real Investment Advice blog. It's required reading for the informed investor. Catch it today at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Nothing sinks a marriage quicker than money issues. This Valentine's Day, promise you'll respect your lover's credit, communicate about your money, and share together our first Candid Coffee for 2024. 5 Money Habits of Unhappy Couples. Saturday, February 24th. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratcliffe will have money tips to help revive your financial harmony. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. 5 Money Habits of Unhappy Couples. Candid Coffee with Ratcliffe and Rosso. realinvestmentadvice.com.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets, and unfortunately for many Managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. Just simply click Ask a Question at realiinvestmentadvice.com or give us a call at 855-RIA-PLAN. That's realiinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Manage risk and volatility rather than trying to manage gains. You don't have to be right all the time. Long-term investing success is a 70% gain. Let us help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Can't catch the whole show now? Listen to our podcast later at realininvestmentadvice.com.
My wife loves true crime. We're at home watching a show last night, and the guy picks up his phone, and on his phone is a text message, and the letters are just huge. You know? And she's like, "Why is his text so large? Mine aren't that big. I can't even read the text on my phone."
The Real Investment Show podcast.
I said, if you just click on a text message, you can expand it. She clicks on the text message, and she's trying to expand it, and she goes, "Mine doesn't work that way." And I said, "Honey, yours is already expanded as far as it can go."
At realininvestmentadvice.com.
My wife loves true crime. She's been plotting to kill me for years.
Real Investment Show podcasts are now available on iTunes. Listen anyplace, anytime at iTunes.com.
When it comes to wealth management, most people think of stocks and bonds, but it's like enjoying one layer in a 7-layer cake. At RIA Advisors, we want to make sure you get your cake and eat it too. Social Security, Medicare, creating a tax-friendly retirement paycheck. Perhaps you're saving for college. How about life insurance, guaranteed income solutions, all along with comprehensive planning. At RIA, a holistic approach to your money is our priority. Call us today, 855-RIA-PLAN, or find us online at realininvestmentadvice.com. Realininvestmentadvice.com.
Health and financial security touches everyone within your organization. Offering benefits for all doesn't need to be complicated. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, Senior Benefits Consultant at RIA Advisors. RIA Benefits provides independent expertise to find solutions that speak to the mission of your business, the culture you want to establish, and the budget you are able to work within. Book a free consultation with me at realininvestmentadvice.com/retirement, and we'll find a solution that takes care of your most important asset, your people. realininvestmentadvice.com/retirement, realininvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show YouTube channel has all our videos ready for your easy access, like Technically Speaking Tuesday, Financial Fitness Friday, and Lunch and Learn replays, plus each day's radio shows. Subscribe and bookmark our YouTube channel at realininvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
I have a better idea for Ground Hog's Day. You do it at Buc-cee's with a beaver. You hearing, Mr. Applin? So you get the guy dressed as the Buc-cee Beaver, and if he walks into a bathroom that's dirty, you get 6 more months of winter.
6 more months, man.
Months, because you never have a dirty bathroom at Buc-cee's.
Man, that's cold.
Yeah. So if he walks in there and he comes out with toilet paper on his back, on his bottom paw. 6 more months of winter.
So for those of you out there that don't know what a Buc-cee's is, you will at some
do you
point. I mean,
not
they're
know?
starting to spread their...
They're everywhere now.
Yeah.
Tennessee. I spoke to someone who listens to the show in Tennessee, and after saying, "How dare you? I'm so jealous of you," based on where they live, they said that Buc-cee's is mobbed.
There's
See
a
right
Tennessee. There's one in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that they're talking about.
It's
Severville
Tennessee
or
Buc-cee's.
Severville or how
Severville.
do you pronounce that?
Is it
Severville.
Severville. Yeah. My goodness.
I was told by somebody it's Severville.
Severville. I
don't know.
Sever.
I'll leave it
call
up
the
to
whole
you guys.
thing off. But they are always mobbed. I don't know. Buc-cee's has got the formula.
Maybe we should do a Candid Coffee at Buc-cee's.
No. I'm not. You know what?
I say yes.
I'm not going into Buc-cee's anymore.
What?
Hey, what? Okay.
I am not going into
Bye,
Buc-cee's.
guys, where I'm off the show.
No, I'm serious. Last time I went in, it took me 15 minutes to get gas. It took me another 45 minutes to get in and out of there. Absolutely not.
That's the beauty
It took me
of
over an hour.
Buc-ee's.
No, I want to get in and get out. I don't want to screw around.
That's
with
not what Buc-ee's
And
is
I don't
for.
like people that much. I don't want to be around 100 people or 1,000 people that I don't know.
I walk into Buc-ee's at 1 o'clock. I don't
I
leave
love
till
people.
3.
Just not that many people. Good night.
Well,
Oh
if,
my
if you're
gosh.
in a hurry to get gas on your trip, don't stop at Buc-ee's.
Yeah, no.
Go to Chevron or something.
Yeah, dude. No.
Buc-ee's is an experience.
Cannot understand.
Not a
And
pit
it's
stop.
gotten to be an
do not-
unpleasant one. You're like a pinball trying to just walk to the restroom in there and go grab a soda or water. I mean, it's
Oh, I
crazy.
love it. There's some weekends
I am
just
so shocked that you love that.
I am so weak because I don't
I
care.
mean, from the man who doesn't want to come out of his dungeon.
I don't care about the people. I just love the place.
Well, there's just too many people. That's the
I just
problem.
ignore them like I do most people. I go in there. There's some weekends I go in there for like an hour and a half. So you go, where are you going? I'm going to Buc-ee's. For what? I don't know. I'll find something.
Because
Well, I'll take the kids in, and you can't get anything in there for a decent
I
price.
never
anymore.
walk out of
Everything's
Buc-ee's
so
without
expensive.
spending less than $80.
I
It's just not.
yeah. Oh, Dad, we need.
I don't
this.
want to buy. So JP goes, I don't want to buy fudge every time I get gas. There's a joke in there somewhere. I've just got to figure it out.
don't
And
think
then
about that
somebody
one too
said
hard.
about the baby should be a sweet tart. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that in the king cake.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a great idea. Who put that in there? You all are crazy on that YouTube channel.
If you want to be financially responsible, just stay away from Buc-ee's.
He's going to be doing the show alone. Or I'm going to come in with my Buc-ee's shirt.
Hey, it's gotten too big for his britches.
Now I know what I'm going to get him for Christmas. A Buc-ee's basket. He's going to love that. There's no way he's not going to eat a beaver nugget. I'm sorry. He may not like going through the experience, but once he gets the food in front of him, he's eating it.
Listen, I'll when I have to, I will go. But if I can avoid it from here on out, I'm going to avoid it.
The jerky bar is worth the stop.
The jerky bar. I mean, even their barbecue is good. You would think the show is sponsored by Buc-ee's. Why aren't we sponsored by Buc-ee's?
I'm pretty sure they don't need us.
We need them more than they need us.
Do they deliver?
No online.
I
least
would.
that's what it used to
The
be.
day Buc-ee's delivers and the dude's in the beaver outfit, I'm calling. It's just going to happen. All right. So yes, I would work at Buc-ee's if I were 65.
Well, they've got
and I
great
needed a
benefits.
job. They got great benefits and great salaries.
They pay well.
They'd pay well. If they were publicly traded, it would be a problem. So this is a great survey because you do have a lot of older people returning to work because older is relative. Okay. You're 60 to 65. You're probably still working in your career, but the people who do retire early find out that, especially if they're not of Medicare age and they're not taking Social Security, it really could be a tough go. So nationwide, when they surveyed these 1,000 consumers, 60 to 65, 43% of them were retired. Actually, to me, that sounds like a pretty, I would think it would have been closer to 20%. So here's what he is, and this is the beauty of a financial plan, because if they come to Danny and me, or us in general, they wouldn't have done this because the survey found that respondents still working, they underestimate their living expenses and other factors compared to others who are retired. So those still working expect to spend 42% of their income on food, housing, and other basic expenses. Retirees spend roughly 53%. 77% of the working 60 to 65-year-olds say they expect to be comfortable in retirement, while only 68% of current retirees feel that way. The average age of retirement was 60, with an average age of expected retirement of 67, which sort of makes sense if I can have my Medicare and I can take my Social Security at full retirement age. 36% of retirees said they receive less in Social Security benefits than they expected. This all screams for people that need to actually put a financial plan together and understand their situation, Danny. And yet most said they will not ask an advisor for help. And frankly, who can blame them? Because you probably feel that, one, you're going to get sold something you don't need. Two, you're going to get terrible advice about Social Security. So I totally get it. But that 37% of 60 to 65-year-olds surveyed get information from a financial advisor. Others rely on the internet, oh gosh, friends and family, and resources from their employer sponsor plan, whatever those are.
Well, I think that's what's so difficult when we're relying on so much different information. One, how do you vet it?
Yeah.
Two, just because it's good for your neighbor, your loved one, it may not be good for you. And that's where I think getting an unbiased opinion can really help. Now, also, I think, Rich, a lot of people don't want to talk to an advisor for planning purposes because they don't want to know if they're not sufficiently funded.
They don't want to be aware. Yeah, they're afraid of that. Like going to the doctor, right?
Correct.
Like, I don't want to know.
They don't want to be aware of it. Or I've had people tell me, like, I don't want you to tell me how much I can spend. Mm-hmm. Like, shoot, you're telling me what your expenses are, and we're trying to back into it. I could give you some suggestions.
Yeah.
But people don't want somebody looking over their shoulder sometimes. And I get it, because number one, it is personal. Mm-hmm. Finances, as much as, many people just throw money around, it is extremely personal. And I think that extra set of eyes can be invaluable as well. But I also understand, people's hesitancy towards that, which is why only 37% use somebody.
Right. And those are the people that are probably in the group that are not retired yet.
And, but also how many people need an advisor. You look at how many people have trouble making ends meet. How many people Social Security is the largest portion of their
when I cut this
retirement
commercial about if you're just doing stocks and bonds, it's your layer in the 7-layer cake. Most advisors equate wealth management with stocks and bonds. That's it. And that's a shame. And that's how they're incented. Mm-hmm. But it's about holistic planning. It's about looking at the full person, right? And how holistic planning now is going to connect to your wellness outside of your finances. So we try to look at you as a whole person, not just that your wallet's in your pocket and you're going to pay us, because we only get paid by you. So we need to know things and be responsible for things that other advisors would find uncomfortable. I call them the financial dust bunnies. We don't want to clean them out. We go in there with the Swiffer man. Social Security, Medicare, taxes and retirement, things that matter to you. Because stocks and bonds are fine. But to me, Danny, I will tell you, that's all like chocolate icing on the cake. I find it fun. I love to do investing. I like to help people with it. I love being on the calls with Lance and Mike, and we all have calls every day. That's always been something I've loved. Mm-hmm. But I realize as time goes on and we help people, it's just one-dimensional. You've got to do all these other things to help people make good financial decisions and help them to keep as much money as possible in retirement. So your financial planner, if they're holistic, they're not trying to tell you what to do. They might help you tweak things. They may help you to wait. When we do our retirement boot camps, right lane classes, we talk about just working an additional 3 months is like exponentially adding more money to your retirement account for years based on studies. Working a little bit longer, especially to get to these milestones like Medicare and full retirement age for Social Security, are so important, because then how are you going to bridge the gap? But I want to talk about work from another perspective for older Americans when we get back. We'll see you on the other side.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Nothing sinks a marriage quicker than money issues. This Valentine's Day, promise you'll respect your lover's credit, communicate about your money, and share together our first Candid Coffee for 2024. 5 Money Habits of Unhappy Couples. Saturday, February 24th. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratcliffe will have money tips to help revive your financial harmony. Register now at realininvestmentadvice.com. 5 Money Habits of Unhappy Couples. Candid Coffee with Ratcliffe and Rosso. Realininvestmentadvice.com.
Small businesses are now being challenged by the lack of employees and how to attract and recruit the best employees. To get the better employee, you'll have to offer a better package. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Don't assume a 401k plan is too costly or complicated for your small business to offer. Let us show you how to make the most of an affordable and effective plan that will deliver true value for your business and your employees. Call me toll free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com. That's realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
When it comes to wealth management, most people think of stocks and bonds, but it's like enjoying one layer in a 7-layer cake. At RIA Advisors, we want to make sure you get your cake and eat it too. Social Security, Medicare, creating a tax-friendly retirement paycheck. Perhaps you're saving for college. How about life insurance, guaranteed income solutions, all along with comprehensive planning? At RIA, a holistic approach to your money is our priority. Call us today, 855-RIA-PLAN, or find us online at realinvestmentadvice.com. realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. A passive investment portfolio requires active risk management. It's not a choice, it's necessity. Diversification doesn't protect against risk of loss. Let us actively help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
So, some older Americans go back to work to do something very important, contribute, remain socially vital, talk to other people. Men have a terrible time when they retire, not to stereotype this, but they do have a terrible time getting out there or have hobbies.
I've seen more men struggle with retirement than women.
I do too. Women seem to have a whole array of things to do, networks, people, hobbies, even working women do. They seem to just have a tendency to be more social. Men don't, and that's not healthy. So they have to be self-aware and then make the decision. So I have had clients that have done that. And not for the money, although the money psychologically helps a lot.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Right? It's like I got extra money to do certain things for my grandkids. I don't have to stress out. Even though I may have enough money, I still stress, right? If I own just stocks and bonds and I'm taking a withdrawal rate, I'm stressing because it's not a fixed amount as much as everybody tells you, okay? You don't take a fixed amount or a fixed percentage out of variable assets. It doesn't work. That needs to change. There has to be guardrails. It needs to be changes as you move on. Guaranteed income and Social Security, that's different, okay? So the point I'm making is some people like the additional dollars coming in just for fun stuff and going out for dinner maybe a little bit more often with their spouses or taking their grandkids on extra trips that they wouldn't have done. But more important than that is the social engagement and being around people.
Yeah.
And I think that is, and keeping so engaged, so important.
I just visited with somebody a couple days ago. They have visited, I believe he said, over 200 hours at Habitat for Humanity over the last year. I'm like, man, that's impressive. That's awesome. Going once or twice a week, getting in front of people, doing something that, keeps you engaged and out there. I think that is awesome. Mm-hmm. And you're helping.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's so many different ways that you can give back. It may be, contributing through work, remaining social through, charitable activities.
And to your point, Danny, I think there's a lot of older workers, and I'm talking like 75 plus, believe it or not, even. They don't care about titles, jobs. They're doing something they want to do. Like you said, like they're contributing their time. Like, not that, I was an accountant in a prior life, so that's the only thing that I can do. I can't work in a retail store. That's below me. They don't look at it that way. It's like, I've been there, done that. This is a new experience for me. I find it exciting, right? Engaging with people. This is a whole different skill set of what I've got to learn. And I really love it. I think that's great. I think that keeps you young. And you're going to find more and more older Americans going back to work for many reasons. But I think it drives well-being for those who really don't need the money but appreciate getting the paycheck. You know what I've also noticed for a lot of them? Their grandchildren, teens, are noticing that their grandparents are going back to work and asking questions like, Grandma, Grandpa, why are you working? Shouldn't you not be working? And they're like getting an appreciation of working longer for certain reasons.
Yeah.
So I've noticed this dynamic that's happening between grandkids and grandparents, that when it comes to work,
it's a big shift in mindset.
Yeah.
And as people, we talked a little bit the other day about how people are, there's somebody on this earth who's going to live to 120, and how financial planning is going to change considerably.
Right.
And everybody on YouTube's like, what? Life expectancy is going down. And yes, right now. Look, there's a lot of people out there.
People are living longer, unhealthy.
Correct.
That's the tough part. But if you can do it right,
that's right.
Yes, there's people that will eventually be living to 120. And not only that, but doing it healthy.
That'll be amazing.
That would be amazing. I don't want to be here for that.
That's a long time.
Yeah. F that thing. I'm not doing that. I don't want to be some shriveled raisin walking around at 120. I mean, I don't, because no matter how young you are in heart, I mean, things are breaking down, man. But who knows what the future looks like, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's right. But how many people as well where maybe their financial plan works well, but it's kind of supercharged to go back to work for a year or two?
Yeah.
I mean,
they transition, right?
Correct.
Especially men who just don't retire cold.
Well, you either consult. I mean, we see a lot of that where we have a lot of people that retire. They go back to doing contract work, consulting. You also see where maybe it is something where it's more purposeful, something you do enjoy. It's a different career, or it's just charity work. But anytime you're getting paid, though, that changes the dynamic of a plan substantially, even if it's just 6 months or a year. I mean, we see that the longevity change quite a bit, which I think is really helpful.
Yes, absolutely. So a good advisor, because someone just said here, hey, I hire an advisor. Who said that? Somebody said a good, cool comment on here. Said, I hire an advisor because when I hired my friends in college to do my homework because I wanted to go out and drink. So why wouldn't I hire an advisor to take over certain things for me, and then I'll grade them? But here's the point on the grade. How do you grade your advisor? That's such an important question. If you grade your advisor just on the performance against an index, that's tough because that's not a relationship, and you might have a blended portfolio. So you might have stocks and bonds, and that model might have outperformed for you. In other words, you're up 4%, S&P's up 20. Wait a minute, what? Well, but that's what a blended model does. And if you're retired or close to retirement, no one's going to place you 100% in stocks unless you have 100% of your income coming in from guaranteed, inflation adjusted, and that this is cake. This is all icing on the cake, and this is a legacy asset. I have a legacy asset for my grandchildren. I want it to be 100% stocks. Okay, I can buy it. We're talking about multiple life expectancies, generations, but most retirees are not going to handle, or should they handle, 100% in the stock market. So if you're judging your advisor, and guess what? Some advisors should be graded that way because that's all they offer. If that's all they offer, That's fine. If they're not looking at your situation holistically, makes sense. This is what you do. This is how I'm grading you. So create the report card for the type of advisor you hire, because they're not all the same.
I think that's a good point. So what would be in that report card? I mean, and it depends on what you're doing. I mean, that's the other caveat you just mentioned, is that if you have somebody that's strictly a broker, strictly buying you stocks, that's it. Then
Yes.
what's the benchmark there? Or if they're managing strictly a growth portfolio, is it the benchmark at that point? And which benchmark is it, right? There's so many out there.
Yeah, you're just going to compare it to the S&P, and I have all small cap stocks. Or, you better compare apples to apples. Even
Correct.
if you do have a guy or a gal who's just going to be doing stocks and bonds for your team, you better make sure you really are linking apples to apples.
Yeah, that's right. So do you need to, if you have somebody who holistic, ideally it needs to be, are you doing financial planning? What does that look like, and what does that incorporate? Is it, do they talk about Social Security? What about helping with Medicare once you reach 65? A big component.
Yep.
Have they helped you as you're growing assets? Do they help look at employer benefits or benefits for your company? Do they look
planning.
at ways to not only save you money today, but save you money tomorrow?
Yep.
And I think that's a big component now. We're beginning to see, I feel like you and I have done this forever doing it that way, but I think the industry's kind of coming
Moving to
around
us.
much
Yeah,
better.
I agree, Danny, especially now that the CFP board's actually starting to do studies on it. I just printed out the white paper that I need to read. So that's important. Holistic health, your advisor in the future is going to be a health advisor as well as a wealth advisor, because you cannot separate them. You just can't. They are linked together. If I am unhealthy, then I'm going to have an unhealthy retirement, and my money is going to go in a totally different direction than where I want it to be. So, and lifestyle, not just genetics. Genetics are a small percentage of it. Lifestyle. Your lifestyle in retirement, how you do things, how you eat, how active you are, how social you are, is going to affect your money. There is no getting around that at all. And for people who tell me that they know what age they're going to die, what magic 8-ball do you got over there? Because I don't have that one.
That would make our job so much easier, though.
It should, yeah, weirdly.
Oh, man. If you knew when you were going to die.
Oh, you plan it right to there. And
especially
that's
for
it.
the person who wants to, step in the grave with a dollar, which we hear that quite a bit, too.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different type of planning. But, I do think that's a really valid point, is that how do you grade somebody and what are you looking for?
Right. And that was a great comment. I liked, who was that? Scott? Was that Scott Silver? Whoever did that comment was a great comment. Just know the report card.
Speaking of comments, if you're not already, go to the YouTube channel, The Real Investment Show.
Got a bunch of crazies
Subscribe.
on there.
Like the page, please.
And somebody in Seaverville who goes to that one in Tennessee, making me very jealous. Going to Buc-cee's.
Yeah, we're going to have to get an update on the proper pronunciation of that stand.
Yeah. Send us that. I always call it Seaverville because I don't know. Lance back on Monday. We love you guys. Have a great weekend.